So, welcome to episode 2 of the Untitled podcast, because we haven't come up with a title yet. I'm the Crafty Mini. You'll know me from YouTube, I'm vintage painting, and joined as ever with the Yoda to my Qui-Gon Jinn, Will Switchboard Gamer.
Yeah, that's only because I'm short, though, isn't it?
Oh, yeah? I've always pictured you being quite tall.
Yeah, I am. I'm 8'9".
Wow!
Yeah, no, I'm actually 5'7".
Oh, that's tall. That's okay.
That's tall.
Yeah.
Well, it's tall around here because we're a nation of short people.
Yeah, but that's how you hide from us dastardly English so easy.
Well,
You don't play fair.
You're a giant, aren't you? I can tell that.
Yeah, 6 foot.
Oh my god.
Yeah. I hate it. You minding your own in a supermarket, someone goes, "Oh, can you just reach that?" You're like, "Oh, can you get that off the bottom shelf?" No, I didn't think so. No, I'll reach that for you.
But that's what you're there for, you giant.
What? my friend constantly reminds me that I was not born of a woman and a man. I was forged in a mountain by trolls. It's like, okay.
There you go.
I mean, feet is the big one. Size 15 shoe. Trying to get a shoe to fit. It's like,
holy sugar. Okay. So, clown school, is it?
Yep, literally, or full cows for another pair of boots.
Bloody hell.
Yeah, it's mad. But anyway, enough of the physiology of giants. So yeah, welcome to the podcast. So we're going to be discussing a little game that I think Welsh Miniature Board Gamer, he's played a little bit.
A couple of times,
yeah. And it seems like you understand the rules a little bit better than me.
Well, yeah.
But yeah, so we're going to be looking at Rangers of Shadow Deep. There it is. The sexy new book. God, I love the artwork in this book. I'm going to definitely leave the video in now. So just before we start, so I'm very new to the game. I'm only a couple of games in. You were very kind to send me a load of the rule books for nothing. Just sent them to me because I mentioned that I had some interest in it. And yeah, it got me hooked. I really enjoyed it. We did a little collab where we did each other one miniature and we both cheated. And I'm currently playing through my first ever campaign with the I'm looking this way because they're sitting here on my little shelf with the warband that you made for me. So far they're all alive, no major injuries. I'm doing alright.
No, you're doing something wrong if they're all alive. Go on.
Yeah, no one's
set
died
those
yet.
peasants forward.
Yeah, I'm doing okay. I'm quite happy. Although it feels like the game's about to turn where I am. But yeah, so we're going to look at Rangers of Shadow Deep in more depth, and who better than someone who knows the game. So take it away, Rangers of Shadow Deep. Okay,
so should we start with who wrote it?
Yep.
So Joseph A. McCulloch, such writer as Frostgrave, Ghost Archipelago, Stargrave, Silver Bayonet, amongst others, we're sure that he has written. I know he wrote for Blaster as well, which was a monthly or a quarterly magazine, which Ash Barker, him, and a couple of other people sort of teamed up and did. So I think he might have done actually a freestanding game for that too, but I'm not 100% sure. So yeah, so Rangers of Shadow Deep, I'll give you a quick rundown of the story of it. So you are in the Kingdom of Alador, which is, to all extensive purposes, Little England. It's like the green and pleasant land, which, or the fantasy version of England. Yeah. It's the green and pleasant land. To the north are the Great Wastes, which is a great desert which stretches away.
Like Scotland.
I wasn't going to say that. And then to the west is Larenthia, the nearest kingdom to Alador. Then to the south is the Forests of Nar, which is kind of like this Mirkwood-like place, which anyone who goes there tends not to come back from. And then, if we go all the way around to west, are the Tolian, something like that, principalities, which is like just mass of different little tiny kingdoms and what have you, which are constantly at war with each other and are kind of the wild lands of the West. So, in my head, see, if I have a description of a place, I have to make a map of it. Because if I don't, it'll never make any sense in my head.
Okay.
So...
Oh, we got... Is this an official?
Knocked up a map, which I will send you a picture of.
Yeah, I'll put that over the video, yeah. Oh, wow, okay, cool.
So that's so we can get it clear in my mind what actually where everything is, because otherwise I'm just completely lost. So the thing about Rangers of Shadow Deep, he leaves things very vague, and it's for a very specific purpose. It's so you can make it your own. So the only thing we really know is Larenthia has slowly but surely disappeared into this Shadow Deep, which is like a darkness which is just blighting the lands, and creatures that are in it which are just, trying to kill everybody who's in the lands. That's it. We don't know anything else about the Shadow Deep apart from it is badness personified in this mist or this bleakness which is sneaking across Larenthia. And Larenthia has just fallen, and Alador is the only kind of major kingdom left to stand against the coming darkness. So the king of Alador, a young king who has only been king for a few months apparently because the father had just died, calls upon his rangers, hence the name Rangers of Shadowdeep, to go and check out what's happening on the border with Larenthia because he's lost all communications with them. So you're a band of kind of Mulder and Scully-esque commandos, kind of, you get the jobs done, you do the jobs you're sent to do, you're a sort of jack of all trades, sent behind enemy lines type of person to go and find out what's happening, what is this Shadow Deep. And kind of as the game progresses, you get little hints and clues of what it might be, but he keeps it vague, and I do kind of like that because it leaves it to your imagination to sort of fill the world out more as you want to go. So that's kind of what the story behind Rangers of Shadow Deep is.
No, that's a really concise sum up there. That's pretty much word for word out of the book. I like that. and then something you touched on there. One of the reasons I'm enjoying it is because it's so it leaves a lot for the player to fill in details and things, and you can customize because it's a miniature agnostic game. Yep. You can customize the way your warband is and how it plays.
Well, exactly. Like Larenthia isn't ever described really as whatever. It could be any kingdom. So if you wanted it to be an elven kingdom, why not? Larenthia sounds a bit like it could be an elven kingdom.
Yep.
So, why not? And that's the one thing, because it is a miniature agnostic game, and he's left a lot of blanks purposefully in the story. You can fill those sort of details in yourself, and I think role players like myself and yourself,
yep,
particularly can latch on to that.
Yeah, it seems to, because sometimes with the game you can be, that's that whole thing, jack of all trades, master of none. But this one, it seems to be like the contrarian to that. It hits a lot of notes, which I was very surprised when I was reading it.
Yeah. Yeah, so it is a follow your party through the adventures, going from one scenario to a next. So if you're a D&D player or whatever, so you're following them from one scenario to another scenario to another scenario, and the outcomes of each of these scenarios obviously can improve your character, like all good skirmish games should do.
Yep.
Or you can end up like with one arm missing, or whatever. You can end up with terrible things happening or good things, but they all add to the story. The one good thing is if you do sort of die, there is kind of ways that you can bring your character back, but that's in some of the expansions, so that isn't actually in the base book.
Okay, interesting.
So yeah, so to get started, you need the Rangers of Shadow Deep book, either the hardcover or the soft, Paupers version that some other people may have. Only saying that because he's got the soft cover. So you need that. You need, for your team, you need about 8 miniatures maximum. So that would be your Ranger, and 7 companions is the maximum amount of companions you can possibly have. So 8 miniatures is the max. That would be if you were taking dogs, etc. So, if you're taking humans, you're probably only going to have, say, 5 or 6 companions to follow you along. Unless you want the really expensive ones, which, then you can only probably afford 2 companions to wander along with you with the thing. So, yeah. So, if you're familiar with Frostgrave, you will know the basics of Rangers of Shadow Deep already. Apart from it, this game is a solo or cooperative game, which is, a brilliant thing for introducing new players to wargaming and miniature gaming. It's one of those things where I don't have to go and beat you up in order to teach you how to play this game, which is not nice. You don't want to beat up this poor, maybe kid, or even worse, get like a 40-year-old man crying because you killed all his troops.
Yeah, it's a good point, that is, because it's very friendly, and I've over the years I'm jumping more towards cooperative games as well because of that fact that it's not ultra competitive.
Yeah. Like I said, brilliant way to teach people how to get into a war game. The only, I would say, slight negative of the game is the amount of enemies if you want to stay true to the game.
Yeah.
So if you want to stay true to the game, you're going to need gnolls, skeletons, zombies, giant spiders, giant rats, giant flies, and those are just spectral knights. You're going to need an awful lot of miniatures. But my personal feelings on that is, if you've got miniatures, use those. They can proxy. There's no reason why your gnolls have to be gnolls. They could be goblins. That's what I used for an awful long time. I've actually only just bought some gnoll miniatures. After all this time, I finally, okay, I'll use the proper ones. But yeah, I've been using gnolls all along, goblins all along to be gnolls. Giant spiders and giant flies, like I've shown in the past, you just get them from like eBay, those joke spiders and those joke flies, stupid little things that you can buy from the Poundland or whatever, and just stick them to a base, and they look decent enough. They look like plastic toys. But then, so do our plastic toys. So
exactly.
I wouldn't worry about that. So really, yes, there is a lot of miniatures, but only if you want to be true. Like, I have to have it that way. If you're in the Games Workshop mindset, then yes, okay, it's going to cost you a lot to get these miniatures. But if you're in there like, well, I can imagine my guys moving, so therefore I can imagine this skeleton miniature is also a gnoll.
Yeah, it's, to be fair, I did see one guy who his main team are, his rangers are obviously miniatures, and some of the bigger, nastier enemies, but a lot of the rank and file stuff, he just had cardboard standees with a really nice image, and it worked perfectly fine.
Paper pawns work fine, one of my first role-playing games, which I might have showed you in the previous episode, actually came with paper pawns for that game, which was kind of, I never even cut them out, so they're still in that box. But anything, even tokens, if you just want to get the feel of the game, you don't have to spend money on miniatures even. These blue rocks are my gnolls, and whatever. It can be as cheap as you want to make it, or as expensive as you want to make it.
Yeah, and that's, I think for me, that's one of the things about miniature agnostic games, and this game in particular, you can do that.
Yeah. So it's a D20 system, like I said, like Frostgrave, like all or most of Joseph's games. It's most scenarios will take you like under an hour to play, I would say, which is it's the sweet spot for me. Anything longer, and I either start falling asleep or I'm disturbed by someone, wanting something, So that's kind of the perfect spot for me. Is about an hour before all hell breaks loose. Being a father. So the mechanics are usually like TN tests, so test numbers that you have to roll over in order to do something. So we'll probably put up a character sheet here at some point.
Yep.
And so your skills would be like, I don't know, maybe you'll have 3 on acrobatics, and you'll need to roll a 12 in order to succeed at this jump. So obviously with your 3, you shake a D20, and if you shake 9 or more, you got your 12. Your TN test is done. So it's quite an easy system, but because it's quite an easy system, it's very easy for you to house rule. And if there's something that happens in the game that you think, I can't see where that is, you can quickly make a decision on how to rule that sort of rule, So if your person wants to, I don't know, swing from a tree by a rope, yes, an acrobatics roll, I will give it a TN 9 because it doesn't seem particularly hard or whatever. It's an easy thing to work out yourself, and that's good. It's not like I need to shake 66, now I can take 4 of these D6 away and add 9 of these 60. It's like, why don't you just make it easy so people can enjoy it? And I think this game is aimed at that. It's aimed at people enjoying the game, especially because it is a solo cooperative game, so there's no one for you to argue against.
Yeah, so true. Very true.
If you want to house rule something, house rule it, provided the other player's fine with it. If you're doing a co-op, do it, And Joseph is very open with, make the rules what you want of them, as long as you're enjoying the game. Yeah.
Is there much difference between solo and co-op play in the game?
Yes. I would say solo playing is easier than co-op.
Okay, interested. Yep.
Because you got a set plan in your head, and all your people are working towards that set plan. As opposed to if you got a co-op of say 4 people playing it, it's like, all right, let's go get this, and then John or whatever has just wandered off to go and look for that treasure chest. Leaving your guy standing in the open with everybody running at him. So. Yeah, gameplay-wise, it doesn't make much difference because balancing either 1 player or 4 players is how many companions you're going to have. So, like, if you're 1 person, you might have 6 companions. If you're 3 players, you'll only allow 1 companion each, say, and that's the way they will even out, sort of the thing. Yes, more rangers will be more powerful than a load of companions.
Yeah.
But they've all got their own individual ideas of what's best to do. So, which one's easier? It depends on your players, I suppose.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it's as I say, I'm very new to it. I'm loving it at the moment. Can you talk a bit about just for people out there who are perhaps a bit more interested in the sort of the rules, the activation system? Because I think this is something that's very unique to this game. I've personally not seen it in any other games. When you activate a ranger and then a companion. Yeah.
So the phases are broken up into ranger phase, monster phase, companion phase, I believe. Yes. Is that a nod?
I believe so, yeah. Yeah.
I think it was in that order. But it is broken up into the 3 parts. So in the ranger... Yeah, that is right. Yeah. So in the ranger phase, you can either activate just your ranger, and he can do his movement and his attack, or his skill, or whatever he wants to do, or double movement. Or you can decide to group activate. So in which case, everybody that you group activate with, which can be a maximum of 2 people, I believe. So then they can all do their movements first and then do their actions. So the reason why it's been written that way is so that you can get a gang up bonus.
Yeah.
So you can move your companions up with you, and you've got them to back you up if you're fighting something a bit tougher. So then after you've activated your ranger, it'll be the monsters all running around, and then you have your lowly companions doing their things afterwards. So yeah, your ranger a lot of the time will want to probably activate on his own. Yeah. Because he can do his action and his movement and everything and get everything done. But when you think, oh yeah, he's going to get teamed up on, that's when you want to use your group activation to get some extra muscle in on the battle.
Yeah.
So generally speaking, your ranger's going to be your toughest person because of the skills that he has. More than his stats. His stats might not be particularly great, but the skills that he's got, so, you know, he might have deadly strike or whatever, which will increase his chances of landing a critical, etc. So, you know, he's your most deadly guy anyway, but he's still not like a tank, you know. Yeah. He's not going to be able to take on a troll on his own. You know, he's going to want his flunkies to soften the blow a bit.
Yeah, that's something again in the game that I really enjoy. Is you never, although like you say, your main ranger is your core character, and then his companions around him. But he never feels overpowered. There's always a nice balance in the combat. You never feel like, oh, I can do this on my own. I'll just leave you guys here. Or you lot go and get the treasure and the markers, and I'll go and sort this out.
Yeah. You never got the wall standing there holding back the tide. You know, you've always. Your guy's always going to be... he's always mortal. You can always die. You know, you don't want your guy to die. You know, that'd be the worst possible outcome for, you know, a young hero to die in his prime.
Yeah.
Speaking from experience, you know. But yeah, the way they've kind of think that although your hero is tough, he can be taken out. But he only gets killed like on the after roll of a 1, where most people gets killed on a 1 or a 2. So, you know, that's kind of his way of trying to drag out that he, you know, he's been knocked out, but he's okay, don't worry.
Yeah. Is there could you go into a bit about the sort of after a mission, after a quest? Because this is something that blew me away, and it's in a lot of McCulloch's games. So
yeah, so after a mission, well, each mission will be broken down, like I said, much like a D&D module, if you want to think of it that way, or a D&D scenario. So, you know, if you kill this, you get this many experience points. If you did this, you get this many experience points. Which, actually, I'll come back to that for a minute.
Okay.
So, during the game, one of the things I like most about it is that there's end of turn events, which is represented by a deck of cards. So, say you could get like 6 experience points for killing this monster, but that card never turned up, so you never got the chance to get that monster killed. And that's the brilliant thing about it, is these things can happen, and yes, it's not completely random, because, you know, there is only a limited number of cards that you're allowed to draw. But it can shake it up enough that, you know, there is differences from one game to the next. So if I play the same scenario, I could probably play it about 5 times before I'd have exactly the same sort of cards coming out. But then, you know, obviously the dice might be different.
Yeah.
You know. So going back to after the game thing. So the experience points depends on really what turned up for you. So you get experience points for killing things. You also have clue markers on the table. Mm-hmm. So these can be like artifacts that, you know, you didn't know were out on the battlefield, but they will give you like extra XP or whatever. Sometimes they'll give you like herbs, which are probably the thing I hate the most in that game. Why give me a herb when I want a magic sword? You know, something like that. So after you've got your XP, it'll go on to like your next mission. But before you get to your next mission, you have to do like injury rolls, which It's very sort of old school Mordheim sort of.
Yeah.
Your band will be weakened, or whatever. You know, a lot of people have described Frostgrave as the new Mordheim, and I think Rangers of Shadowdeep is the role-playing version of that. It's not a role-playing game, but it's definitely got that feel to it to me. You know, it's sort of...
Okay.
Your character progresses, he learns new things. So as he goes up in experience, he learns new skills, or he can hire more companions to follow him because, you know, he's getting more famous and more people want to come and join, you know, the famous Ranger Bob or whatever. So that's kind of... Yeah. Was there anything else that happens after the game that you wanted me to go over?
No, just because it's a horrible moniker to put on Rangers of Shadowdeep, but D&D Light, I've heard, which I think does the game an injustice, because it has got those very, very light roleplay elements, the leveling up of skills and picking new abilities and things. But that's what made the game for me.
Yeah, Joseph A. McCulloch has made no apologies of that. He is a role player, and he says, you know, this is because I love my role playing. That's kind of the reason why he Rangers of Shadowdeep originally, because he's a frustrated role playing gamer who wanted his miniatures to be more than like a little token on the battlefield, you know? Yeah,
because I've never heard that Frostgrave is more time, and I can see that. But one of the issues I had with More Time, because I had that when it first came out, was we would make our own narrative stories for it to give it a bit more life and a bit more oomph. And then recently, with playing Rangers of Shadowdeep, it's like, oh yeah, this is actually what we were trying to get all along. All nicely contained in this one book.
Games Workshop. I'm trying to think of how to word this without getting rage.
Oh dear.
Games Workshop does not care about thematic. They care about you buying more things to play the game to try and beat the other person. Yes, they have an amazing story behind it, you know, been written by very talented men. But when you come down to the actual game, it could be Germans versus British. It could be... There's nothing really that ties... I don't feel when I'm playing... If I play those games, that ties in that miniature to this actual story. It could be happening anywhere. It could be doing anything. Rangers of Shadowdeep, it's happening at this point for this reason, and you feel very much more like there's a driven story going on. While Games Workshop stuff, I can't think of the last time, including, you know, Mordheim, which kind of weird this conversation went off from. Mordheim, it felt like, yes, you were fighting, but you're always going to be fighting. You're always going to be doing the same sort of thing.
Yeah.
You know, it may as well have just been like a battle. Everybody just hack hell out of each other, and, you know, that's going to be the end of it.
Yeah.
The objective was kind of a secondary thing.
Yeah, because I think in that it was... and again, this is the contrast to Rangers, is Mordheim was very much... you had cool abilities and you had that bit of downtime after the game, which this has got. But there's running, like you say, running through Rangers of Shadowdeep, and why I think it's such a good game is there is this narrative core. Because you're playing a game, and you've done that battle, you've leveled up or whatnot. You may have lost someone, maybe not, and then it's like, well, what's the next thing, and what are we going to learn as we're going further into the Shadowdeep, and what is actually, because I'm really interested to see how this ends up. Like, will I actually find out what's in the Shadowdeep, or will it be very ambiguous or left to the player to figure out?
Okay, I think that's a good point to sort of move to the next part, which is longevity of the game. So, in the main rulebook, you will have the first, like, quest, which is, like, your rangers go into the Shadowdeep, having a little snoop around, and that's kind of where it's the first, like, adventure sort of ends off, you know, without giving away anything there, you know. But there is a second adventure in the book, which is separate from that first one. So your characters can move on and find out a bit more about the world a little bit. There's some little pointers and little sort of hints at other stuff that's going on. But yeah, so in the core book, you've got like 2 basic modules, I would call them, if you're coming from that sort of role-playing D&D thing. But after that, you could then get this book, Gathering of Heroes. So this book is kind of adding rules to the game.
Okay.
So if you want to go a little bit more complex in the building of your ranger, there's some rules in here that you can use to make archetypes. So they've also got some archetypes in here, so like there's the Knights of the Red Kite, Red something. Okay. So then it will give you like set abilities. So instead of you choosing your abilities, it will give you what your abilities and disabilities are.
Okay.
So so the Red Knights, one of their disabilities is there's a child on the table, which there's very rarely a child on the table, but if there was a child on the table, they have to go and save that child. They've got no other thing they can do apart from go and try and save that child. Because it's their core belief is that they need to protect children. So that's kind of, again, it's a role-playing thing, because like in-game, yeah, you have to go and protect the child, but, it's a very role-playing thing to do, to give you a disadvantage in a way of, making a character more real, if you will.
Yeah, yeah.
So also in this book this book is published by Modiphius, but before it was published by Modiphius, it was through Drive-Thru RPG or Drive-Thru War Games or whatever it's called, and so it's got the Menagerie. Oh god! All right, yeah, it's got a bunch of supplements that are in here,
yep.
which have all been compiled and put into one book. That's basically what most of this book is made up of. So so you can get more animal companions because they were in the menagerie, or there's the incinerator, which is quite an interesting mission. So that is actually one which I've shown on my channel, where if you get caught, instead of dying, you can do this mission instead and try and get through it in order to escape your death, so to speak. So that's kind of what's in that book. Then, if you finish that book, which has got loads of things...
I love this, just pulling them out. This lexicanium of stuff.
So this is what I would call like a grand campaign. So there are 3 books. It'll probably be concised down into one book at some point by Joseph, because he tends to do that. So this was made up of Across the Wastes, which I'll send a picture of, Dungeons Dark, and... Alright, I'm going to try and say this word. The Tenebrous Tower? Okay, so they are one big mass grand quest that your people can go on after they've finished off the other quests, because they're going to be a bit tougher, and the creatures in this are, tend to be tougher. Again, introduce more weird monsters, which if you're going to be true to what the monsters are meant to be, is going to cost you a bit more money to buy. But North Star miniatures, they're kind of very reasonably priced.
Yeah, I'd say so. Yeah.
Yeah, and they're good. So that's what's been released for the game so far. There isn't anything else yet. I wouldn't be at all surprised if at some point he will write some more quests, because why wouldn't you? People will buy them. It's not easy money, but it's pretty, I think within his skill set to be able to write up as many adventures as he will want to write up. Is
it, because we touched on the expansiveness of it, is it easy to write your own adventures?
Yes, 100. In the same way as it's easy for a games master to write up, adventures for any role-playing system. If you know the core rules, you can instinctively, I would have thought, be able to figure out roughly how many knolls that party can take on, and kind of how many of these creatures and how many of that. Once you've played through it a few times, you will know how many of each creature your group should be able to handle. It's one of those things that you will learn as you play. It's like if you play any role-playing game, like if you don't know the game, you're not going to go up against the trolls for their first, baddie. You're going to squish on a few rats or something to begin with. But I suppose if you're inexperienced, maybe as a writer of a game, you might just throw too much at a player to begin with. So you really want to try and start off narrow, but that comes with experience of playing any game. But yes, you can easily write your own adventures.
That's cool. How well, firstly, is there anything else you'd like to add about the game itself before I start quizzing you? So based on what you've said, I've got some interesting questions.
Okay, yeah, I'm not an expert on this game.
Really?
I just want to say that I'm passionate about this game. I could talk for days about this game, and probably someone would die of boredom from talking about this game. But I do realise I monopolised this conversation. And
that's absolutely fine.
Yeah.
No,
go on.
So, because it's, would you say this is one of the most accessible games out there, especially for newbies to the hobby?
I would say because it's a cooperative game, it's a very easy game for new people to get into, especially if they got guidance. If someone has got a kind of an idea what wargaming is.
Okay.
If you've got absolutely no idea what wargaming is, I still think it would probably be a good one to start with. Apart from the miniatures, that is kind of, and the terrain. If you're worried about that, especially if you've been watching like YouTube channels, where they've got these wonderful looking terrain, and it falls into that. Oh God, what's that role playing channel? They do D&D and all, and everybody thinks role playing's like that, and it's like.
I know what you're right. It's the one with Matt Mercer and a bunch of voice actors.
Yeah, exactly. And people think, oh, that's role playing, and it's like, yeah, it is, but it's not. Role playing is the Monty Python team falling down the hills and getting shot by random dudes who you didn't expect to be shot by. I feel like very much. I've lost my train of thought. Don't know where I was going with that.
That's cool. All right. Because when I first read the rules, there's certain things as someone who's played a lot of miniature games that there's certain tropes, and when you read, you go, okay, I get that. But it did seem that it is very newbie friendly.
I would say so. I would definitely say so. Like. There's nothing easier than, okay, you need a 12 to hit this person. Hey, hang on, I got a free skill here. Oh, okay. So I shake my dice. Oh, I got my 12.
Yeah.
Yes, then you take away the armor, and then you need to know basic maths, or have a piece of paper to scribble it down on.
Yeah.
So in that way, yes, definitely, I would say, like. I got a 13-year-old daughter, and she could play it. She has played it.
Yeah.
So, as provided you are comfortable with basic maths, there's no reason why you couldn't play this game.
How many times have you played through the sort of main run? Would you say?
I would say 5.
Oh wow, okay, that's a lot.
Well, it depends. It's a lot. It's a lot if you think about. No, hang on, I'm going to say this. It's not enough if you like the game.
Okay. Yeah.
But I come to the point with the original base thing. I've probably played it enough times now that I've seen everything that can happen in the game.
I mean, that's a lot, though, isn't it? You think you can...
Yeah.
You do a run and then maybe you have a bit of time playing something else, doing something else, and you come back to it. And does it still feel fresh and it still throws in nice little surprises for you as you play?
Yeah, because dice will always throw in a surprise.
Yeah. And something you touched on earlier, the deck of cards is such a cool concept. Yeah,
it's the same with another game that I will harp on about all day. This is not a test. If you throw in random story-driven things, even if they got no actual effect on the game, just this random thing happening, it just sparks this thing in your brain, which, oh wow, this woman just went through our camp. It's nothing, but in your head, it's like, oh, that's cool, that's fun, that's something amazing. Or a jackalope just, nibbled your toes or whatever.
Yeah, because the way he lays the rules out when I was reading it, I think I'd actually use this as an introductory for role-playing games. I think it's so user-friendly, this rule set.
This could be a role-playing game. If you just take the miniatures out of it, it's a theatre of the mind role-playing game. Mm-hmm. If you want to put the miniatures back in, okay, you got, like you said, possibly a D&D light if you want to think of it that way. I would definitely say this is straddling role-playing and miniature game.
There was you've mentioned this. I can't remember if it was in a previous chat but you've mentioned you use this game to get your neighbours into gaming. What's that like? Because do they have any experience in miniature gaming?
No, none whatsoever. So this is the game I introduced to my neighbours. So kind of for me, it was, I will do all the heavy lifting.
Yep.
You just turn up and play this game. It's a story-driven game. It'll be fun. They take the mickey out of me because they think that when I'm working out like the combat, I sound like an auctioneer.
Okay.
So it's like, oh yeah, you've got 14. Yeah, take away 12 armor. That's 2 damage. That's 2. And they're like, what? I'm sorry. What was that? So they take the mickey at me that I sound like an auctioneer because those calculations, they're not difficult calculations, and if you've been playing role-playing games, they're simple calculations. But if you don't know what I'm on about, it just sounds like I'm shouting numbers at you. But they got into it. They're enjoying it. They have... Hang on, just think where we are. Okay, they've just done Torvarden. So they're on the mission after Torvarden. And we haven't lost a person, which...
Wow.
I know. I was quite amazed that I'm still alive.
One of the when we did that collaboration, because you wrote all this backstory for each of the characters that are tied into the world, and again because of the world being so, it's got enough detail but not too much. You can, if you want to, do that to bring your characters to life a bit more.
Yeah.
One of the fun ones was on the back of. I mentioned this in the video. So on the I think it's Gwendolyn. Don't move until mission 3. And when I got to mission 3, I was like, okay, oh, she's from the village. Like it was just a line, no rules that you put in there, but it was like, oh, she survived the attack. This is brilliant. Right, let's go and let's kick some ass now. So,
I think that's really, that's kind of tying in your characters to his story is, something that everybody, oh wow, that's cool. Yeah. So if you're playing it with someone, I would suggest try and do that with someone, especially if you've got like role-playing experience anyway, like, oh yeah, you just found Harry, which was his lost cousin or something, stuff like that, adds to the thing, especially if the person involved is up for it as well. Some people are not up for it.
Yes, that's fair.
They just want to play this game. They want to get down to the nitty-gritty of slaying the gnolls. They don't give a shit if Bob was your cousin.
Yeah, it's true. But again, go on.
Yeah, some people are. Some people love that.
Yeah.
And if you're a role player, you love it. If you're a board gamer, you might not.
Yeah, that's fair. Because I think again that's a testament to how good the game is written and how well it plays. You can, if you just want to be worried about the number crunching, let's go on a mission and smack some stuff. Yeah. It's got everything you need. If you want that narrative run and a bit more playing around with stuff, again, you've got that there.
It's the same with D&D. You can either have it as kind of a board game almost, where you just use your abilities or your whatever to beat this baddie, or you can do the role playing where the baddie is someone other than a wall to hack down or whatever. It's got that in it. So,
from what you've been saying, I would assume you like this game. Would that be fair to say?
Yeah, it's all right.
It's all right. Okay. Would this be a recommendation for you?
100%. Yeah, 100%. If you're getting into a game, if you're trying to teach a game, it's going to be fair. The only person who's not going to really like this is a competitive gamer.
Yeah.
A person who wants to beat someone. If you're that type of player, you're not going to get really much out of this game.
Yeah.
But if you want a story, you want to be the Aragorn going, doing your mission or whatever, this is going to call to you. If you like reading fantasy novels, etc., this would probably call to you more than if you just want to play at chess.
Yeah. That's brilliant. Anything else you'd like to add about Rangers Shadow Deep before we wrap up? Other than it's a good game.
I was going to say, well, it is a good game. I've probably talked more in this last, how long this video's been than I've talked probably in my entire life. So it shows the passion I have for this game. I honestly love this game, and most, if not all, of the people I've introduced this game to have liked it also.
Yeah.
If you know your crowd, they're gonna like it. If you think, I know this person, they like stories, they give it a punt. I would definitely think, especially for the price of just the main rule book. If you've got miniatures, the rest you can sort of work around.
Yeah, definitely. So we'll leave that one there. That was Welsh Miniature Board Gamers' introduction and explanation of Rangers Shadow Deep. I would recommend, first of all, if you haven't subscribed to him, go and subscribe. But go and watch his Let's Play that he did, the campaign. It ended interestingly, and go and show Brother Tobias some love.
Yeah, bring your tissues.
Brother Tobias, man. Oh, bless him.
Bless his little tiny cotton socks.
And what was the name of I forgot it there. The monkey.
Oh. Shrieker.
Yeah,
something like that. Yeah. Which actually have brought back in my 5 Parsecs game. I've named a planet after him.
Hey. We love it. But yeah. So if you to round us out, if you want to tell people where to find you.
As always, I'm on YouTube, the Welsh Miniature Board Gamer, and of course, I'd like to thank you for inviting me to do this podcast. Always a pleasure to spend a bit of time chatting, and well, you listening in this case.
Fine, don't worry about it. I'm happy with it.
But thanks for having me.
No, wicked. Go and find the Crafter Mini on YouTube and look for the Mushroom Man, and we'll see you all on the next one, guys. Cheers.